Good evening. My name is Julie Osteen, and the article that I chose was Crafting a New Vision for High School, How States Can Join Academic and Technical Studies to Provide More Powerful Learning. And this was by Gene Bottoms, and it was released through the Southern Regional Education Board. Some interesting things that I picked up on and that I found helpful was that it was directly related to student performance and preparedness. That large numbers of students enter college, but they don't finish. Barely one half of those students that start a 4-year university finish in 6 years. And only 1 in 5 finish their associate's degree within 3 years. A lot of students are leaving high school and they're just not performing at the levels that they should. That many of those students are having to go and take remedial classes because they're not exiting high school prepared like they should be. Many students today need to immediately be connected with the curriculum that they are learning. They instantly need to have something that grabs them, that gets them interested in what they are learning. And both college and career paths in schools need to equally be challenged. A lot of those students that dropped out of college, dropped out of high school, said that some of them said that they weren't being challenged enough. So, the second thing brought up, and what the main idea of this article was about CTE. Is it the final fix? Is this what's going to make the ball start rolling in the court for those students and their preparedness? CTE is Career and Technical Education, and it may be the change that is needed. In the ever-changing world, things are continuously changing. The jobs that are out there now, 10 years ago, they weren't even invented yet. The CTE education is more college preparedness. If you partner that with college preparedness, those high schools are transformed into high performance schools. High quality CTE programs are far more advanced than the vocational programs that were out before, like home ec or, foods class. Now, those foods classes are developed into, like a culinary program. It's taken it to the next level. So the CTE brings about the skill sets that are needed in our demanding job market. Finding the formula for change. So the beginning of this study, this article, talked about the meeting of the minds. That in 2007, the Perkins Act came about. And as you can see, the Perkins Act provides states with, funding that may be used to align CT studies with a broader high school reform. So that means that there is money that is out there now that can be used for these CTE programs. So in 2007, a group of people from 12 different states came together, and they brought about ideas from each of the states, and they developed the challenges that we will talk about in a few minutes, that the leaders of school systems, high schools, middle schools, what they can do to get those programs that they have now, get them more in line for the college and career preparedness. The Perkins Act was the first federal legislation required for career-oriented courses. So that was the first, legislation for that. And so 12 states gathered on Amelia Island. Now that's pretty awesome. In June, and they developed this. The CTE leaders recognized that career and technical studies, provide a fresh context for more powerful academic learning rooted in the real world problems. So the main idea is that the CTE brings about, that instant connection, that those students can immediately apply what they learn into their lives. So they developed the 5 challenges, that I said. Challenge 1 is align new and existing career technical curricula with essential college and career readiness standards. So the challenge 2, create a flexible system of optimal pathways in high schools to better prepare all students for college and career. Number 3, create a policy framework that keeps students' future options open by developing career, technical, and academic programs that 1, link high schools to post-secondary studies and work, 2, blend academic and technical studies, and 3, connect students to a goal. Number 4, assess the contributions career technical education can make to improving academic and technical achievements. And lastly, prepare and enable career technical teachers to teach essential academic skills through application in authentic projects and problems. So, how is this helpful? Stanley County Schools is a rural school system. There are 4, right now, there are 4 traditional high schools and an alternative school. I work at that alternative school, and we last year had a CTE teacher that taught business management, entrepreneurship. Now this year they have switched to meet the needs of the students that are there right now, and that they have foods, which they're learning, how to cook things, how to apply for jobs in a restaurant, front end of the house, back end of the house, vocabulary like that. How can we implement the information, and how can we use this information that I read about in this article? And I brought it to, there's another, the EC teacher at our school. We are in our graduate studies together, and we are constantly trying to find a way to help the students at our school, at the academy. We're teaching the students that have a hard time just showing up to school. And a lot of times we're using that project-based, learning that is used in CTE in other areas. And we're helping, like I said in one of the challenges of, creating goals, that the skills that you learn in these CTE classes go far beyond just those CTE classes, those pathways that you take, multiple classes in. Like I teach my art class. No, it's not a CTE class, but I run it like a CTE class. I have that project-based learning, the deep problem solving, the deep thinking, setting goals, looking at the broader picture. How can I use color theory to pick out my outfit or, put paint on my walls at home. So how can we as a county implement those ideals that were in this CTE article? So right now, Stanley County Schools is in a transitional period. A lot of things are up in the air right now. And so we're trying to gather information and build 2 separate schools. And then I am pushing for having a trade school, a technical school, as one of our separate magnet schools. So, we can use this information and base new programs within the schools that we already have. So it's very informative to think about, how can we reach those dropout students? In the CTE information at the very beginning, the introductory part, it talked about how CTE programs help that dropout rate. And one of the big pushes within the last couple of years was the dropout prevention program. They also have started the career academies, which is within the other schools. It's an alternative program for those students that don't need to go to the alternative school, but yet they still are trying to make up, certain courses. And CTE classes, some of those count as math credits. So that is a great way to meet the needs of those students. Why won't it work? Right now, I don't feel that we have the manpower to necessarily implement all of the various steps and actions that were laid out in this article. We definitely don't have the funding. Right now, the budget is a big topic here in the county, and I don't feel that we have the budget to add more CTE teachers or expand the programs that we already have, but I would love to do that. Like I said, the school board and the central office right now are not seeing eye to eye on everything. Certain members of the school board want to close schools, so, some want to open, and right now it's just all up in the air. And we have slow transitions, slow rollouts of programs. So the alternative program that I talked about before within the traditional high schools, that's been something in the works that we've been, working with for a couple of years now. So a lot of the programs that we already have rolled out, they still haven't been fully completed. But if you want to know more about, CTE standards, resources that you could use, here they are listed right here. The first one is through the Department of Instruction. The second one is through NC State. And the third one is actually a booklet of the standards, and they're broken down a little bit more, and I found it very helpful. I would highly recommend this article. I learned so much. I have so many things highlighted and underlined, and it's very informative, and it would be a great thing to, if you teach middle school even, to use and to share with other people in your school. So have a good evening. Thank you very much.